anytime you've got, of course, new players, early enrollees that have never played college football, they're getting their first taste. And we've seen it behind closed doors, and they've experienced it for the last 3 to 4 weeks. But we get to see it as media and fans for the first time. It's interesting to see those guys have to raise their game from the high school level to the collegiate level. And, of course, they've got the talent to do so because that's the way they've been scouted. But anybody in that category that stood out either way?
Cameron Kitchens. I mean, true freshman, same situation as Jake Garcia. Just got on campus. Once again, man, he is shining. Everyone was raving about him, throughout this spring football season, that it's been a very easy transition for him. He's really didn't have to adapt to anything. You just plug him right in and he's ready to play. 6 tackles, 1 interception. I mean, he's playing out there like a veteran player. Also, Chase Smith. He can play probably 3 different positions, offense and defense at the Power 5 level. 6'3", 200 pounds. I mean, freak athlete. Those 2 guys, you put them in this Manny Diaz defense, they're going to shine. And I'm very excited what the future has for both of these players as true freshmen. Not to mention, we don't even have James Williams plugged into this defense. And Avonte Williams, man, he was bringing it throughout the entire spring game. I left very impressed with our secondary, specifically safeties.
Paul Scoop on the U. Check him out. And his content over there. Again, Paul Scoop on the U right here on YouTube. And leave your comments, your questions. We'll get to those in just a second because you got that category of player that we just brought up coming in from the high school ranks, early enrollees. Then you've got those transfer guys that have proven that they can get it done. They've been at big-time programs, the 3 that I'm thinking of in particular. But it's nice to see that as Canes that they're going to bring it. And we're talking Charleston Rambo, DeAndre Johnson, and Tyreek Stevenson in particular.
I left very impressed with Charleston Rambo. I didn't think he would be that ready to play, in the spring. I thought it would take him just a little bit of time to getting adjusted to the offense, but it seemed like he was playing at Miami for the past couple seasons, when they sprinkled him in the offense. 7 receptions for over 74 receiving yards. Man, the connection and chemistry he already built with our quarterbacks, and putting it like this up-tempo offense is really going to play to his skill set. He'll be a nice deep ball threat. Put him in a ton of seam routes. He's going to get open. He's going to create space. I really think he can be a first-team All-ACC wide receiver in this offense, and he's going to put up a lot of big numbers. Earlier on this show, and I've said it to a lot of people, I thought Mike Harley could lead the team in receptions. That was guaranteed. Look out for Charleston Rambo. I mean, I really think he's going to be one of the top transfer portal players, to transfer to another Power 5 program in college football. DeAndre Johnson really impressed me as well. 2.5 tackles for loss, had 1 sack, created a safety. Remember, this is also a modified scrimmage. Defensive ends, edge rushers, defensive linemen. I mean, you just tap the quarterback. That's really it. I mean, you can't really get amped up, win those battles in the trenches. You're not going to get as fired up in a modified scrimmage. So I'm not expecting a crazy year from DeAndre Johnson. I think 6 sacks, is a solid goal. But, ultimately, I think DeAndre Johnson is going to make a nice, decent splash in ACC play and should get 2 4.5 sacks, 2 6 sacks. I think those are realistic predictions. Do we have a first-round pick edge rusher on this defensive line? No, we do not. But we've been spoiled the past couple seasons with those kind of prospects on our team. So I just hope as Canes fans we become a little bit level-headed, understand this may not be the elite defensive line we've seen in the past, but I think overall it's going to be a solid group. And one thing you mentioned about Tyreek Stevenson, I'm very confident for the first time in a while in our cornerback play. You plug in Tyreek Stevenson to Corey Couch, Al Blades, those 3 will probably be fighting for starting roles. Then you have Isaiah Dunson and DJ Ivy, Marcus Clark as providing depth, having that role. This is a very solid cornerback group at the Power 5 level. It's about time that question mark has been answered, and Miami finally has a complete cornerback room, Mark. So that's going to be very exciting to watch.
Ronan, always good to see you here. Always appreciate your contribution. You know that. Ronan on the defensive line, and again, it's a spring game, so every time there's a play made, somebody won the play, somebody lost the play. It's kind of tough to evaluate your own team when you look at, okay, well, that was great that that wide receiver just caught like a 38-yard ball, but Who did he burn? Or there was just a
Yeah.
sack. Well, who got beat on the offensive line? Or, fill in the blank. Every play, there's a winner, there's a loser. And when you're playing yourself, you can take the positive side or the negative side. Ronan's talking about the defensive line here needs to improve. Have faith they can give. Nesta and Taylor are still to come in, but was subpar for most of the day on Saturday.
Yeah, we're going to plug in a couple defensive tackles. I mean, Nesta Silvera, I'm expecting a big final season of college football for him. I thought he was in the best shape of his life this past season. I think we're going to see the best of Nesta Silvera this upcoming season. Plus, Leonard Taylor, 5-star recruit, one of the best defensive tackles in the nation. Everyone is raving about him. They say he's going to be a star at the next level. So I'm not worried about the defensive line. I just hope, people don't expect the gaudy numbers that we saw in 2018. I think it's going to be a solid top 25 defensive line unit that's going to, create havoc in ACC play. I don't know if we'll win the battle of the trenches against your Clemsons, your Alabamas, but I think in ACC Coastal play, we should just do fine, and we should be the best defensive line unit in the ACC Coastal once again.
It must be a strange experience for a established college football player to then see the new guys come on campus. Not talking about the transfer guys like a Charleston Rambo who's proven that he can play at this level, but the new guys, see them come on, and you probably see basically 3 different versions of guys. You see the guys that, okay, they got potential, but man, we really need to get them into weight, strength and conditioning.
Right.
They really need to bulk up. They need to work on their game. They are definitely a couple of years away from really competing for a job. Then you got those guys that, okay, we may be able to work him in on special teams. He might be a second team player. He can do some things here, has a lot to work on, but he can do some things. And then you're mentioning a couple guys that I'm not going to get too crazy about what they did in high school and what they could be immediately, but talking about Williams and Taylor stepping on campus here in a few weeks as 5-star guys. And I'm not saying that they're going to do it, because there are 5-star guys that struggle their first or second year, but there are those guys that the established collegiate players are used to the young guys stepping on campus not being ready and still having that upper hand on them. It must be an odd feeling when there's potentially a couple of guys out there that are going to come on campus and they're immediately going to be the best dude at their position unit.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. And it's one of those things. Is that a good thing for your program, or is it not, at certain positions? Because it's like, hey, if let's say Cameron Kitchens, let's say he's going to be one of our starting safeties right away. It's like, wait a second. So, what about the rest? Like, you have veteran players, why aren't they getting that starting role? And they've been playing college football for 3 to 4 years, where Cameron Kitchens has only been playing 1 semester and he's already doing better. So yeah, that's a big, I'm curious about that conversation.